have those two chairs if you're wondering.
You
can lift the chair for you.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
This chair?
Just want to get closer. Sure. Oh, this chair? Sure. Is that-
No, you want to go up, you want to stay back here.
Thank you.
Are those thick cushion maroon chairs even better?
Huh?
Is the maroon chair, is that most comfortable of all?
It depends on if you find it comfortable, I think.
Oh, yeah.
You want to go who chair or you want this chair?
Yes, I published it.
Wow. Get started with the prayers.
Jidin jemba jivu dhruve kalu juba lana meba lana menange toba sange shunde beja wo shaya toba la chadra lo jodho yadho jeru toba chunde ne jin jemba rajumba yanda bo tobe sanje riba da shazu deba devar shema jidin jemba jivu dhruve kalu Lana meba lana menanje toba sanje chumde debe yewa shaya toba la chat chedo jazo che bante kanye soho je bante sajen deba gomba doba ane jidin dena choje zo deze yebo jela cha nanda goma chozo zuza wa ishe jaso sefi lugu Taba jiden zuna na mewa gogo juni jula jala zelu senjo demba dime dame selo jawa jala jala zelu jala zipa zuma je nyame jini jula jala Ombo juje jedemba danje gembe demba Sona yede gyazo je de jin jela jala zelu tabe de jaje wa gyu gewe nyuzo de chidu dana chugyu ba ji yu jela jala zelu jone jowe la yande la ba da ba rabzu shinge ramba yende de gindu la ya jala Bajiya mejaji yewa kuzum soba Rangi sene yonzu dene sange tembaye Karamara li mameda yuma seba juboda Mena loban jinda mu duje jena didanda Sana di tamji sebaye Oban done genje radede Kada nada chive laju Sive tole roba roba shto
To the founder, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and look for refuge. When a supreme among humans you were born on this earth, you paced out 7 strides, then said, I am supreme in this world. To you who are wise then I prostrate. With pure bodies formed supremely pure, wisdom ocean like a golden mountain, fame that blazes in the 3 worlds, winner of the best, Lord, to you I prostrate. With the supreme signs, face like the spotless moon, color like gold, to you I prostrate. You are immaculate, 3 worlds are not. Incomparably wise one, to you I prostrate. The Savior having great compassion, the Founder having all understanding, the field of merit with qualities like a vast ocean, to you, the one gone to thusness, I prostrate. The purity which makes one free from attachment, the virtue which frees one from the lower realms, the one path, the sublime pure reality, to that Dharma which pacifies, I prostrate. Those who are liberated and who also show the path to liberation, the holy field qualified with realizations, who are devoted to the moral precepts, to you, the sublime community intending virtue, I prostrate. Do not commit in unvirtuous actions. Perform only perfect virtuous actions. Subdue your mind thoroughly. This is the teaching of the Buddha. A star, a mirage, a flame of a lamp, an illusion, a drop of dew or a bubble, a dream, a flash of lightning, a cloud. See conditioned things as such. Through these merits may sentient beings attain the rank of all-seeing, subdue the flow of faults, and be delivered from samsara's ocean. The ways of the aging successor. Page 11. Thus I have heard, once the Blessed One was dwelling in Rajgriha on Vulture's Peak, together with the great assembly of monks and bodhisattvas. At that time, the Blessed One was totally absorbed in the concentration that examines all phenomena, called profound illumination. And at the same time, the noble Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, was engaged in the profound practice of the wisdom gone beyond, analyzing the five aggregates by nature empty. Then, through the inspiration of the Buddha, the Venerable Shatnideva spoke to the noble Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, saying, how should those of good family learn who wish to follow the profound practice of the wisdom gone beyond? Thus he spoke, and the noble Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, replied to the Buddha, O Shariputra, whatever son or daughter of good family wishes to follow the profound practice of the wisdom gone beyond should look at it like this, analyzing the five aggregates by nature empty. Form is empty, emptiness is form, emptiness is no other than form, form is no other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, recognition, karmic formations, and consciousness are all empty. Therefore, Shariputra, all phenomena are empty without characteristics. They are unborn and unceasing. They are neither impure nor free from impurity. They neither decrease nor increase. Therefore, Shariputra, in emptiness there is no form, no feeling, no recognition, no karmic formation, no consciousness. There is no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind. There are no spheres of the eyes up to no spheres of the mind. There are none of these all the way up to the sphere of mental consciousness. There is no ignorance, nor is there destruction of ignorance. There are none of these all the way up to there is no old age and death, nor is there destruction of old age and death. Thus there is no suffering, no cause of suffering, no cessation of suffering, and no path. There is no wisdom, no attainment, and no non-attainment. Therefore, Shariputra, because there is no attainment, all bodhisattvas hold to the wisdom gone beyond. And because there is no obscurity of mind, they have no fear. Passing utterly beyond falsity, they reach beyond the bounds of sorrow. All the Buddhas who dwell in the three times, by relying on the wisdom gone beyond, fully and clearly awaken to unsurpassed, most perfect and complete enlightenment. Therefore, the mantra of the wisdom gone beyond, the mantra of great insight, the unequaled and unsurpassed mantra, the mantra that calms all suffering should be known as the truth, for there is no deception. The mantra of the wisdom gone beyond is proclaimed. This is how Bodhisattva Mahasattva should learn the profound wisdom gone beyond. Then the Blessed One arose from that concentration and praised the noble Lord. The Bodhisattva Mahasattva saying, very good, the son of good family. It is exactly like that. The profound wisdom gone beyond should be practiced exactly as you have said, and then the Tathagatas will rejoice. When the Blessed One has said this, the Venerable Shariputra, the noble Avalokiteshvara, that whole gathering in the world with its gods, men, anti-gods, and spirits, their hearts full of joy, praise the words of the Blessed One. So ends the noble discourse on the essence of the wisdom gone beyond.
나들은 것도 제주고 있잖아. 제주세에 저벌로 주고 와서 나선 주세에 저벌로 주고 ven치다. 제자. 자세 장주세 뭐 저벌로 최이 시체게. 아니 다른 건 장주세에 저벌로 제자. 장주 셈. 근데 자세 장주세 뭐 저바서는 들었다. 나서 최친이 제가 주주들 해서
Today is the Thursday class on the Bodhicharya Avatara, the way of the Bodhisattva, entering the way of the Bodhisattva. This is the topic then, the mind of enlightenment, Bodhicitta, and the class is concerned with investigating it through listening and through instruction. The topic is the very mind of enlightenment.
What is the 장주 자세 장주선배 쪄봤으니까 나도 최고 나는 다 제쇼 된대기 취해들 로고요. 저는 취해들 로도 잠바다. 로브네 아니 가르쳐 버렸으나 랑기 굴는 거 토네. 아니 다 나저기 취해 년보다 셰보다 취해서 좋아식 아니 취해 좋아지 제거를 해서
As this is the practice of the heirs to the Buddha, the most sacred and sublime practice, the mind of enlightenment, Bodhichitta. As we train in Bodhichitta, what precisely do we do? Well, each of us establishes the proper motivation so that as we listen and as we instruct, that practice becomes authentic Dharma.
예, 제가 다들 취해버 취해서 들어왔어요. 취해서 들어왔어요. 아니 가르쳐는다 강다를 취해서 들어왔어요. 다 랑이 셈디다 수수 시주죠. 시주 셈이나 시주이나 디단 취니부디 아니 저게 냠도 제버치 냠도 좀 제버 추강 추샤바 나시만 제버 거레스 근데 지여바이나 아니 제버지 취해서 돼 근데 제버지라 개지 몰랐어 내 맞지버지 아니 직 잘라도 지는데 지강은 직 자샤여도 근데 샤샤바이나 아니 그걸 되게 말어 맞잖아 아니 거기 랑이 셈디 전주심 오늘 가기 말했어 근데 전주심이 소소를 지라 라베르 메와 차이로 제가 랑이 유다 전주의 셈니부터 출로 추샤바나지 버 제버 거래서
For the training to become the authentic Dharma, becoming or conducing to the authentic Dharma, the Dharma itself, what is that conducing to the very essence of the Dharma entail? What does it entail but the mind itself, which is the continuum of consciousness, meeting with the Dharma and mixing with the Dharma and becoming indissolubly one with the Dharma as water poured into water. This is important. This is crucial for the Dharma to be the sacred Dharma. It is crucial that it not be, this training in the mind of enlightenment, not be a mere material practice such as stacking up books and then leaving them behind, in which case there would be no mixing of the contents with the very mind itself, no sharing the essence of bodhicitta between the mind and bodhicitta itself. But when this is done, when they become indissolubly one as water poured into water, then we know the blessing and the very essence of bodhicitta.
예, 제가 당한도 취업을 나는데 비과침도 취업되는 자 준주수비 아니 제가 취업 다시 물어 제가 취인시지도 아니 즉 수수그 체대기 거기 체대 초답을 답시했다고 아니 시제기 남랑 당한도 취업애들이 퇴소애들이 신규유세 되게 남랑으로들 취년바이나 아니 취업이 년백이 고바 마중하라서 고바 진주 차를 해서
Now in the Dharma, this is the Mahayana Dharma. The Bodhicharya Avatara is concerned with the Mahayana Dharma. And of Mahayana Dharma texts, it is among the most sacred. So while listening, while teaching, it is crucial that we don't focus upon this life, make it some support for our occupation or livelihood. And it's important too that we don't endeavor to make the study a measure of our learning, a mere measure of learning. That is not the actual practice.
뭐 제가 근데 이류 말아도 돼. 한다 근데 기타 거기 시제가 남다도 좀 많이 봤다. 아니 담보 말아도 다 그래서 그 담보 가서라 아니 가르치어서는 자주생기 표현다 자주생 딱 표현도 랑이 퇴차래. 다 진짜 퇴배 되는데 아니 랑이 아 퇴배 되는데 랑이 셰버친 셰배 되는데 민남 거기 간다라 수주기 다 삼중 로기 아니 지 거기 민남도 야고 장 아니 즉 잔주고 생각 돌아 즉 녀도 대 템버도 좋나 녀도 템버도 싶어 아니 베스 템버체 어디지 템버체 도나 아니 야고 열해서
So this isn't a mere exercise in learning for the sake of learning. It is, as we became familiar through looking at the first chapter, the excellence of bodhicitta, a practice with profound benefits. And so we've listened to and come to understand the benefits of bodhicitta. And that was part of the practice of listening. And we gleaned from listening what we may turn our mind to in contemplation and draw our mental faculties close to the meaning and close in on the very essential meaning. And when we do that, when this is the exercise, then it is a constructive exercise.
Oh yeah, that today do any suzu today test sem chanju sem kola ani chik suzu nyon do test themo yena di mala bachine patemo chine nya chala to na ga chala ra so na ani chala di suzu sungyo chi nya tu ya yo dina ji je sem mala bachine nya ya en temor che chido na ani khari chi osa tamo mösen kazana ko mösen ani mösen do sem ke bachina de sem bi choga suma de thangudi 내가 당부대 아니 되게 수수고 요한테는 샘디파 챔백이 유도 내버 제야라 아니 면some 초가 송아들이 당부대 초가 송아들을 라고 해서
Studying bodhicitta in order to develop a familiarity and a feeling for it, an experience of it. When that experience is had, then comes the practice of maintaining that so that it isn't ever lost, and protecting it, just as we protect something when something comes into our possession, something valuable, we then protect it and keep it. And so in order to do that, what do we do specifically? The practice of bodhicitta and aspiration, which may be begun through ritual, is the first step. And one may first come to possess the mind of enlightenment through this ritual of bodhicitta and aspiration.
that's some kids and that carcinanda chobal lobdo chidola and chobal lobia tandala tambo chanjusum with yamling was majuna yang and one of chanjusum with chobal juna and kandis jugu you met a juna pain kande you met a or to get it on love watch it love and shine carchos not chanjusum with chobal jugu and jusum with the balang or tomba or the balang or this one was.
Now, with the development of that bodhicitta and aspiration comes the step in which one begins the actual training. It's the training that one begins having never before trained. And so one must study what the training entails. How does one train? What exactly is the training? And with an understanding of that training, one may make the decision to actually enter in the training itself in a formal way and formally take the vows of or precepts of bodhicitta in action.
Oh yes, that the tambo sem keba tamki kanjo ke keba da za chimbo de ine keba tigi pingi mari keba che chane ani keba ti khone pheya kan ani keba ti la lab ne ani ta chanju sem pe shu ta ko keba oh de che de cheba de ti page paanje ribati. Now,
the mere development of bodhicitta and aspiration is not adequate. It is remarkable. However, it is not enough. And that is why, following the development of the first mind of enlightenment in aspiration, one must train to increase it, to promote it, to increase its intensity. And so one proceeds in this way, in a step-by-step manner.
Oh yeah, the day is not a parent that Denver parent the day you can do send it that you like cable chevala and a caricors Sony Satobo, you see it sort of sonam Sony Satobo. Oh, it's that teach it to that and was sonam so saya Tandala and Junjugana Tombo and the Washap and Luce Tina Layani Yala Dubati and Yala Dubata jump to court soon with your response.
Now, in order to develop the mind of enlightenment, one must accumulate the two collections, and they are the collection of wisdom and the collection of merit. Now, for the process of accumulating merit, one practices confession and the 7-branch offering and refuge.
예, 죄송합니다. 디버시 루이니 벌었다. 양라 dim보다 전부지 디버샤베 루. 네, 간제 루 그런 명나 디버샤베 루스는 그러와. 죄송 또다 나란도 그게 장주의 샘 줄라 깨마투야. 장주의 샘이 줄라 깨버 쳐봐라. 아니 깨다 발지 열에 요말했다. 뒤어디 땅에 있나 아니 장주 샘 깨버라다 발지 열에서 아니 발지 열에서 아니 간제다 그 발제돼 아니 지금 안아서 되게 직수술을 내버려 용나 남자 치료를 지금 내버려 드리러 드레스 sometimes 말해서 장주 쌤 깨버려 내버지에 된 저거도 수치거든요 아니 계산하도 해야 돼 디파 생각이 아니 장주 쌤 깨버려 발제 지니까 그런 차도 여러 손으로지.
The title of the 2nd chapter is Confession, and in this chapter the topics are confession itself and the 7-branch offering. The title of the chapter is Confession because it is the very practice of removing the obstacles or hindrances to the arising of bodhicitta in our minds. For those of us who have yet to develop bodhicitta or have developed it but have yet to increase it, something is preventing the mind of enlightenment from arising in us. And what it is though our tendency is to look externally, to look outside of ourselves for some cause of obstacle and hindrance, it is actually our own activities that are the cause of this hindrance, our own negative activities.
예, 죄송합니다. 디버디가 가상하도 무엇을 가지 상에서 가로 세워도 시행선 정기도 이내다 간데스는 삼바 다부 삼바다 조와 제부여와 다 삼바 니모체 니모디 왕게 아니 랑게 첼레 남주 보내 아니 디버다 랑게 첼레 네버스 루지 보내 디버사바 나지 보내 디버사바 이지 보내 디버사바 디고 아니 니모디기 남주기 첼레가 돈 지기 어렸어 아니 대체는 아니 타만 제부 둥에들 아니 직 수수가 세대다 치만 니가로 연구하고 둥에만 보여로 주주가가 나는 장주쌤 기야를 계획치니까 아니 디버들은 샤고 해서.
Now I think last week I was clear. Involved in obstructing the generation of the mind of enlightenment is negativity, for which we are responsible, and a negativity entails an intention in the first case, followed by an application, the actual action, and then a result. Now, the intention, or rather the motivation that sets in motion an action that may be of body, speech, or mind, is the mental affliction, are the mental afflictions. Their function, their purpose is to set in motion action of body, speech, and mind that is destructive. And then this is followed naturally by a result, which will be suffering experienced later in this life and in future lives. Now, with these negative actions for which we are responsible, hindering the progress of the mind of enlightenment, there is a method that we learn for addressing those negativities, and that is the method of applying the 4 antidote powers described in the 2nd chapter, which is concerned with confession. And there is nothing that there is no negativity that cannot be thoroughly purified through the application of the 4 antidote powers. And there is also no negativity that won't remain unless it is addressed by the 4 antidote powers.
땡이 또 세ting 하나도 디바 사사기 유 양군조다 마슴전 때는 사기 열체다 딜레 샤야 탑들아 땡들아 잠도 생계니 하고 잠도 생계니 땡이 또체 다랑이 뭐는 디바 체샤죠 디바 랑이 류마 이승고는 그래 디바 체샤고 있는 디바 체바들 랑이 뭐로 켈렌 아니 교바 체바디 교심스와 교심이 니버세 다 데데이도 다 체중 아니 수수베 디바 체네 지기면 선베 켈렌 담대도 이게 디바 지기면 삼네 아니 domsem 체바디 아니 숨바체 domsem체 시바디 네발레라 도베탑스 네발레라 고 네바디 라리야 게임에 서버저와 네발레라 도베탑스 오 장가데 근데 레송지 그렇죠.
No. Now later in the chapter, the four antidote powers will be presented later in the chapter, but it's useful for me now to number them and describe them because that way we will become familiar with them as we need to going forward. Now the four antidote powers are first the antidote of the basis. When one is responsible for any negativity, the object that one has mistreated will either be the Triratna or sentient beings. And one then purifies the negativity in recognizing that the basis of the negative action is one of these two, and one may address that negative action through refuge and developing the mind of enlightenment. Now, the second antidote power is the antidote power that accepts responsibility for negativity of body, speech, and mind, and then in the acceptance of its responsibility develops remorse. And so remorse is the second antidote power. Now, the third antidote power is the antidote power of restraining oneself from engaging in similar negativities in the future. And the fourth antidote power is the power of the antidote power of preventing the same negative action again.
뭐 아니부터 시고는 시부터 시리 되려니 샤주 제를 원래요. 그래서 다지단 답시 망고를 당도 유인이나 아니면 산제 순주성아 동샤지 거네. 아니 동샤가 초가다는 이거 다 받쳐야다. 아니 도지선도 공대 이거 샤바자 그래 탐망고 송요래서 도지선도 공대로 도지선도 공대.
No. Now later on, after the method for the purification and confession is presented in this chapter, following that we will encounter the four antidote powers. There are various methods for purification, including the recitation of the names of the Tathagata and recitation and practice of the Vajrasattva. Of Vajrasattva.
Oh, yeah. That debate, but Mashavina, debate Pedro, debate pet, Chimu Pedro, Tring Mashana, Sani, the Divani, Nani, the Divashi, and debate is get WW in the part and debate pet Tangamango. Debate hedging on the chairman and Masha Baking and debate pay a penny. And it's in my some shit is about the Bobby Junior, you subshe, and it's a double consent. Is that in a part of response?
without addressing a negativity, without confessing it and purifying it, the negativity will naturally only increase in its gravity, and it will do that multiplying twice as weighty, 4 times as weighty, 8 times as weighty, increasing in its gravity, unless it is addressed by an antidote power, rather, unless it is confessed to and addressed, it will only increase.
what 샤바이나 야 간다 먼저 단다 도지선배 공대도 이마지가 차린 사진스 상황이나 나는 가르치는 디버 폐가지 디버 폐 디버에 폐면 폐마도 소리 안디네 수준인 것도 필요 때문에 디버 바 충분히 다 받아야 어디 내가 답심 주고를 해서
In purifying a negativity through, for instance, the Vajrasattva practice, 21 repetitions of the Vajrasattva practice or the Vajrasattva mantra will prevent that negativity from multiplying, from increasing in gravity. If in addition to that, one applies the 4 antidote powers, then the negativity will be lessened in its severity.
세상 다 디버디 다샤는 아니 다 가르치면서 하나도 셈나 즉 잠주고 셈 겁나야 야고 겁마투야 아니 줄라 마케와 쳐야 줄라 깨베이나야 유때부 마쳐가 페파 냠조 쳐야 도가가 아니 디버디 책이어서 디버디 샤바이나 아니 랑이 줄라 하게 이모 매위인데 아니 계획적 셈 디나는 잠주고 셈이다 계약 아니 딱 자기도 상황차기 해서.
Now our minds, if we haven't yet developed bodhicitta, or if we have developed bodhicitta, experience, or rather, in our minds, we may struggle to develop the mind of enlightenment, or if we have developed the mind of enlightenment, it may not be stable. And this is the result of negativities. And for this reason, we remove the negativities, we purify the negativities so that the mind can move in the direction of virtuous inclinations, especially the development of the mind of enlightenment.
Oh, yeah. That's the that in the body passion and that Rangi that Chanju Sim Swan Chave Chido and Bibasha. 디바샤 아니 소놈사고요. 소놈사베 치도라 다 양라 듬바디 아니 먼저 양라 듬바게 다 냠멘디 치고 열에서.
So for this reason, we practice confession and purification so that the mind of enlightenment may be developed and then maintained. And for that end, to that end as well, we accumulate merit, and the 7 branch offering is part of the practice of accumulating merit.
Oh, yes, that Chanju Sem Song Chave Chido, that Tunjin Gijin Tibashabata, Tunjin Sonam Sabat was Sonam Sabat, that Dini Tawina, and the Chanju Sem the Jigger, Chanju Sem the Rangi Gula Keva Yina, and Rangita Dichilezo. That said Digi the Terring one name ever. And it says Rangi Samden Duba, and it called Chigi to the Shavanata. 제작 저희는 내선도 맞아고 거치 돈을 셔버 있나 아니 바르바토비아 어디서 간가 아니 장주 무슨 송원들이 이런 거를 해서
There are non-supportive conditions that prevent the mind of enlightenment from developing, and those are negativities, and we address those through confession and purification to remove them. There are conditions that support the development of the mind of enlightenment, and they are the collections of merit. They are the collections. And so, with the presence of supportive conditions, the mind of enlightenment arises. And with the arising of the mind of enlightenment, every conceivable joy and satisfaction in this life and in lives to come, in this life, a long life, free from sickness, with everything we want, and in future lives, no fall into a lower realm, but rather ultimately liberation from samsara. All of these these are made possible by Bodhichit.
Oh yeah, that is just that they do that to drove schedule and short to the Yala doing it none, and it and the change she's on Chevaina, Tambo Cheva Yala Tambo Chat song your response.
So for supportive conditions for the arising of the mind of enlightenment, we find first in the Bodhicharya Avatara, from the 7-branch offering, the practice of offering itself.
That they do. But Kazan Cheva Pugu Gobadi, Kazan on the shoot at that Cheva Pugu Gobadi, that shoot Kazan. That's in a Cheva Puyatella. And Garios not double Masun with Cheva Puyachik. And in double Suna Cheva Puyachik, Rang Lupia, the next Cheva Pidama, we Cheva Puyat Zema, we are less.
Now, last week, the purpose behind making offerings I described. Now, regarding offerings, there are many sorts of offerings that may be made. There are offerings of substances that are not one's own personal possessions, as well as offerings of one's own body. There are many different substances that may be offered.
Oh, that in an Tamo Cheva Puya, Zed, no Suya Tandala, that Tamo Dabo Masu with Zedela, and that can they show that double monsoon Zedilla, that Naranzo Tigana around the Cheva Puya, that Zedig, the Mudras was. Says that Zedina and Tamudi and Cousin Medok Chevas, Medok Cheva Puya, Zedil was the Medodilla, and then take Medot, Tanda Pejanala, Medok, Mingdo, Yoba the careers, not the Medot, Zambaka said, and Medot Pema said, and Medot Ubala said of that. And if Kumunta said, Mendo did that to you on the Pejanal Pejare, Yondag, and the method is
Of the many substances that may be made in offering that are not personal possessions, flowers are counted among them. And so we begin by developing a familiarity with this form of substance made as an offering, flowers. And there are many names for many sorts of flowers familiar to us from texts, the Upala flower and the Kumada flower and flowers of these kind. These are the flowers that we often encounter.
Oh, yeah, that name Mang Shundal Dine and Mental Mingman Boyos, Mingman Boyoro, and it didn't sing around the cheek. Into Dubai, to the land, Mendo to Lana Dorina, Mendope. Changajama do but Sunda Mambo and it base of the Yapu. Did that be Mendo, but Changajama to a Mambo to us, or to get some Mendo to get some Lonita, and then Chiba Pitu that Zella, Tanga Resons.
And there are also medicinal flowers, and then developed countries with extensive gardens. There are gardens you can walk through with many kinds, uncountable numbers of colorful flowers with different shapes. All such flowers may be substances for our practice of offering.
Oh, Chibata. Chazanda, Meadow, Chibapia, Zedi, or to get that meadow, the meadow, Penamena, the Mango, to get the Kangata, around the Tabumasu and Meadow, that chiller. Around the Suzuki Tabu Young and Mendo Yor and Tabu Masuma Gatilla, Jim Mendo, Linga Chimbo to the Yorwa, that bed and Pang Chimbo to the Mendo Mango Yor, or the Zukangata, Mendo, Suzuki Sembe, Lu Lang Pure Death, or the nigga Tabu Masum Zella, the Pure to get on washing or response.
So these substances, flowers, which are of so many shapes and colors, and so many of which are not our own personal possessions. There are substances that are personal possessions and others that are not personal possessions. Meadows filled with flowers and gardens filled with flowers. All of these are substances that are not our personal possessions, but with which the mind may create and make as offerings.
Oh, yes, is that the Mendo de Anita, Manazo, Tabu Masum, Chopper, Pidus and Batats. 지단 뭐다 와 디와 지지 오만 되게 되는다 표도 좀 많이 찍면도 제 표에 대해 유유 많이 봐. 네, 충주 많이 봐. 간다 배 망보 배 수수기 생기 가서 쇼하다고. 아니 지된 게 내가 강대와 된대다. 와 된대기 망보를 봐. 맨 표를 해서
For these substances that are not personal possessions, when we offer them, as will be described later in coming verses, but which I'll describe now, just a small flower may, by the power of the mind, be multiplied into however many flowers one can imagine, such that the world is filled in one's imagination with flowers. And this is the mind creating and multiplying the substance.
상주 나라네 상주 너는 와 상주 너는 전주선 먹고도 상고 생기게 최고 표도 아니 수수 다 표하기 면도 제디 아니 수수가 지금 면도 찍어도 매버 있는 거야 면도 착과지도 매버 있는 면도 디 아니 봐 생기 명원의 봐 망고 줄이 봐야 요 자주 자네 동주 엘베 나가 강원데 배 매버지 선나 선다 아니 근데 표가 아니 면도 나가 강 표요 선놈 터베들이 아니 지금서 먹고도 상고 남다나 열에서
The King of Aspiration prayers with Samantabhadra describes Samantabhadra's offering, in which there's only one flower or one bouquet in the beginning, but by the power of mental emanation, that bouquet of 10 is multiplied into 100 flowers, and then again into 1,000 flowers, and then again and again until it fills all of the sky. And this is thought and made in the mind, and the visualized flowers that fill all of space are matched by the boundless merit that the practice creates.
Oh yeah, that didn't do put down the teacher. Oh, that didn't never did the letter. I think it's all to go shade. Mental thought, no answer. Mental to which you about the many number you about the Jitin you about the. Any children you don't want, Chiutan. And Jay rule on the teaching to another Saturday teaching Yangada. Any Joshin meadow, Genji Pubatan. Shingan Tessa Yaga Dubatan. Hami Jigin Hami Tasso Jigin Naya Tidan Ni Peda Pasan the Ranji Mamma Loto number Shan Chuba Yube Janam Tang Chudan Zibu Pema Jamba Tang Namba Shimbu Kenny Yon Dan so Dibati Sonoka Chibet Zemus.
And then the King of Aspiration prayers, this is the Samantabhadra cloud offering. Now, probably best if I read the verses themselves now. The verses having to do first with flower offerings on page 37, page 2. Page 37, verse 2. I offer every fruit and flower, every kind of healing draught, and all the precious gems the world contains with all pure waters of refreshment, every mountain wrought of precious jewels, all sweet and lonely forest groves, the trees of paradise adorned with blossom, trees with branches bowed with perfect fruit, the perfumed fragrance of divine and other realms, all incense wishing trees and trees of gems, all crops that grow without the tiller's care, and every sumptuous object worthy to be offered, lakes and meres adorned with lotuses, delightful with the sweet voiced cries of water birds, and everything unclaimed and free, extending to the margins of the boundless sky.
Oh yeah, that's all the Chiba period. That's all the lessons. That even though the Jason. That never made number Kanda Yobatans, made number Kanda Yobatans, made number Japan that mental Tombota. That is the Shin Tonguman Weir, Zawa Mayo. Tongbo main jo, Loma main jo, what the woman would do. Oh, that then I'm the window tower, that window the year basic for another the Agaruda. Agaruda, Ani Aruda, Aru, Juru, so the main of the day or what? Oh, Tilla Sobani, that man we are also make the woman we are responsible.
I offer every fruit and flower, every kind of healing draft. Many plants are medicinal in their root. The roots has medicinal value, or the stock has medicinal value, or the leaves have medicinal value. And there are names for these medicinal flowers, Aruda and Baru and Kuruda, the myrobalan or the gooseberry, and these are mentioned here.
단단한 그 매송도 따와 있는 아니 맨 장가자 뭐저 민망고 다 혼자 멤버들 그 매송고라 쓴 거야 망고시고로 지나다 맨그 다맨 자다 매도다 아니 신다 다들 망고여다 뭐저 맨 소야리 들 망고여다 되도 다 참말로 아니 다 지금 양 다지나 신전에 배 난가 강화도 대대신의 군조를 제법 필요하고 미국과 제보를 해서
In medicinal texts, or rather in medicine texts, there are many flowers with medicinal properties that students of medicine have to memorize. Plants that are woody plants that are medicinal, stalks of flowers that are medicinal, many different species of medicinal plant, and these are multiplied in the visualization to fill all of space and then offer to the Trijatna.
아니 하이던 거지 내가 도와주주 지금 망고여로 뒤에나 예배 아니 렌지지 뭐지 셀다 무다 모디 제만 담고 아니 그다 망고 휴저로 다 그제 망고여로 뒤조다 배나 알아서 미내라 수수다는 잠불린 뒤나는 예봐 아니 잠불린 셴라 예봐 요래 아니 그 하다 루다 이다도 줄안 내가 좀 그지 내 망고여로 아니 이게 상마체 안 대야배 간다르다 다니나 주지 않을 그 랑 지금 감카운도 되게 필요하고 그래서
And all the precious gems the world contains. So first we have these medicinal plants, medicinal properties in the root, the stalk, the leaves, but then to the precious gems the world contains. There are many worlds too. There's the human world, and then there's the Deva realm and many other worlds as well. And in these there are various precious substances, precious materials, gold and silver and pearl. In our world, in our human world, there are all of these precious and rare materials, but there are also precious and rare materials in the Preta realm and the Deva realm. All of these precious materials from all of these realms, the mind takes and creates and offers.
이게 그거 필요해서 다시는 시바들라 추장 이동원 지유 당서 추장 이동원 지유 당서도 다 취양라지 댄스 저거나요 저 양라지 뭐 로베이 저거나 취양라지 댄스 송열 취양라지에서는 추들의 양라 지dengi 추세를 맨추세로 근데 망고여라 다 디나시 아니 조직이 별로다 근데 송고 아니 별로 아니 왜 저거 표현을 그제 추다 아니 매도도 아니 나자갈 요바이나 아니 게 기계랑 추억되는 손음 사사를 해야 근데 갈라트는 요서
맞아 여기
별로 추다 벽이 추다 양라지 된 추에서 걸어와 제가 추든데 요바이나 추다 아니 빵기 요매도 다보면 요매도 여러와 어디도 아니 자갈라 게 요바이나 게 손음 치고 쌓여서 그래서 이제 송여라서 제가 근데 이들 다 반다 추들다 다 양라지 된 추스 양라지 돼서 이 저나무 특이하다 보면 간다 시의 신의 양화상 세절 저 시와 신과 양화 아니 잠바 아니 티니와 티마야고 여봐 아니 통나 제마다 또라 만에 봐서 어디 양라지 지야요 예 제가 어디다 추 근데 양라지 된 추들은 제법해야 그래도 대시송을 해서
And all the precious gems the world contains with all pure waters of refreshment. Now, water too as an offering is described as a substance with 8 qualities, described by Vasubandhu in the Abhidharma Kosha. There are said to be 8 particular qualities to the water that is made in offering. And Atisha too noted the quality of water when visiting Tibet. He noticed that in Tibet, all of the many flowers that grew in the meadows growing from the water were such that if anything like that grew in his homeland of India, he said, I likely would have already accumulated tremendous merit. And the water then, this water with the 8-fold properties described in the Abhidharma Kosha include water being cool and flavorful, tasty, light and soft, and scented when drunk, such that it beneficial, such that it doesn't hurt or cramp the stomach. The water has these and more, making 8 special qualities.
뭐에 딱 추다 많은 아주 전들이 너희는 다 추야고 싶지기도 하지 난 추와 필요는 선언 전부였죠. 저 필요 좀 많이 지 거기에 다 진주 많이 밖에 네 배zam물이 강화되는 필요하는 뭐 같이도 다 인지가 돼서.
And so the water, especially in Tibet, is considered very pure and when offered to be very meritorious, the offering. And similarly, one may offer a very, very small amount, but through the power of mental visualization, increase the volume such that it fills all of space.
오예 다 주단식도 지혜가 다 현재로 단에 대신로 무슨 로다 배 먼저 면제 필요한 바 면제가 나왔다 지금 무슨 그 리듀스 셀 리듀스에다가 아니 배뭐 초다들 대신만 야여로 왔다 지단 아니 직하게 된대그 다른 뭐 셀그 주로 리다 되네 뭐 지에 모든 지주가 갈로 아니 저거 배야 제라야 는 표도 레스폰스.
Every mountain wrought of precious jewels. In the mandala offering, there are mountains of 7 precious metals of gold and silver, and the rest in the mandala, various precious, rare materials, and they are made an offering just in the same way, visualized and multiplied.
오야 다 그냥 책 나와 두버들어도 나제 사주 인식 년과 당스 다 나제스 신나다 배전대기 아니 전대다 아니 신다 배 신나 신배 야보다 공천보다 다 근데 이조 신제 막고 여러 나제스다 또 신나는다 직진나나 신배 제부이죠 아니 직보게 전대다 다 아가로다 되니 다신기도 명망고로 어딘데 이거 나세 신나서 직체 되는 사조 엠바스 사조스도 좀 받다 사조스 망볼리로다 뭐지 벨루바 직파게 나와도 위조다 방정이죠 강리이죠 소이죠 직근데 망고로 만족이 들lum바디 시위기부시도 벨lum바디 강나스도 반에 배추밥지도 와로 쳐도 빵 끼를 빵도 소들이 Every
mountain wrought of precious jewels, all sweet and lonely forests. Forests are vast groves of trees, and these are groves with sandalwood and akaro and other species of tree. So we mean groves of trees here, and then lonely forest groves, all sweet and lonely forest groves. Those sweet and lonely forest groves, the sweetness is we know places that are bewilderingly beautiful with ponds and rivers and waterfalls and meadows. We mean this here.
오예, 제가 사조 에마스, 사조 에마스 단 융한족이다. 지가란조 지금 유 사제도 딱이 여바이나 아주 빵도 추다 사도 강도 근데 여바이나 사제 기부지가 왔다. 아주 참 되게도 이바이나 양 사제 때렸다는 지금 뭐 사조 생이 아니 지 바게 딱 미다 아니 지금 미다 디베 심진데 마용사 내죠 아니 바게 자리도 자리 아니 왜 야기 또 반대로 미마용사 네 근데 구조들이 어디를 다 참데 라지 바게 참 대사기 내도 있나 어디를 구구열에 손지
All sweet and lonely forest groves. Now, ordinarily, we enjoy valleys with waters and streams and meadows and find this very pleasant. But when in retreat, in seclusion, we aim for and enjoy a place where there are few animals and people. A high mountain retreat or a canyon retreat, a retreat where there are fewer people and animals somewhat removed.
오예, 조금만 그때 야가 빌루도다 아니지 별로 자주는 메달을 벗어야 되다니 뭐만 공제도 이바이나 아니 딱 미메서 lungo 배치는 즉 선 미도가 심제도 되게 지금 용마투사 배 승부 구조 아니 배심제 신앙서들의 대사들이 연바되라 아니 삼대 또 밀리기도 나요 양조야 되네야 배타도 내들 마대버친 나도 예네야 뼈로 먼저 참바도 딱 담보 리바스를 릴레 참대 아니 내가야 미도 용내도 용도 지도는 양 되네야 양조야 사제 뼈를 배 나로 친 양리바스를 양배 양배배 내 토야 여러 어제다 참되게 좀 내대 내 상고세로 다 사죠 상고세 네 아니 가르쳐나도 믿다 아니 직하게 되게 주는 니모기 남이들의 모양사게 내 믿어들의 용이나 고양 참 발지치고로 저들의 모양사게 내 엠바들의 여러 어디는 내 상고세로 어디도 강한 여래서
In India and then in Tibet too, the great adepts like Milarepa and others, great meditators, when they thought of and meant a retreat, it was a place with few animals and few people, a place where animals and people wouldn't be comfortable. And so they alone were able to dwell there in seclusion without being bothered by others. If others came, they were on the mountain, they were in mountain retreat. If others did come, then they would up and leave and find another more inhospitable mountain retreat. And so they'd be called, so these retreats would be called again mountain retreat, or the next mountain retreat, meaning they'd moved again to an even more inhospitable place. And it's inhospitable to visitors, but it's conducive for the quelling of the mental afflictions and distractions. If people came, they would only be distraction.
오예, 단다도 시나 사조 엠바싱도 사조 엠바싱도 엠바스들은 루트 지기 엠바센 남도기 엠바스 엠바들 세다 아니 지금 파게 단다 산행어도다 루와 루트거래 지나다 스벨루다 되는 마시한데 스벨루 말에 파게 돼 시신기 루가바 가도라 아니 엠바게 되게 시비스 뭘만 저그레스 제단 루트 징기 엠바스 남도기 엠바스 아니 이제 간다 마람도기 셈나다 되게 여러 와도 직계와다 디바 아니 셈 수야 간가 대주간가 셈을 때는 용구이 와이도 아니 셈 남도를 마요치도 네 엠바 거로 네 엠바 어쨌든 네 엠바스기비 아니 간다 치기 미기 마람도 니모바 딱고 참을 되게 요바이도 참생이 가르스나 콘데기 참제 참지에서 좀 가르치어서 코어다 양대 위 코어를 비 양대를 삼제사기 내고 어쨌든 내주 어딘데 내 제발 아니 즉 생긴 내가 지금 미다 되게 이모 남도 마지야 내 구조 엠바 어딘데 고요로 어쨌든 딜 내 엠바 생기디 아니 밖에 삼제사기 내 엠바 생기디 아니 미다 아니 되게 이모 남도 마지사 되게 사진 아니 되게 고요해서
yani nyangde di yani namto mesa
양대 코르스의 코어디 코어다 양대 코어스디 아마 코어스 직지 양대 코어데 군이 번 참제사기 참 좋아라는 그래서 디들마다 가르쳐 오스는 류기 사제 엠발데와 셈기 아니 구주기 고액이 니모 계사기 니모 마제사기다 참 공도 배우러 오 참제세를 가르쳐서는 완전 셈부터 셈 남도 요와 내가 나도 코어로 코렉 줄리기도나 디바까 아니 코어 타렉 탑가를 뒤째가 탑이 어지는 혼데 남자가 참 제사기 아니 셈의 신들이 거 어디라니 네 엠바스기 어레스 네 엠바스기 사제 구조이 뭐지 수수배나 나도 지금 일대나 이제 구조지도 일대나 셈이야 남도 담을 챙기러 담이한테 아니 거기 지금 코아나는 지수가 지금 메시케야가 아니 지금 누가가 섬도 챙기러 와 진짜 셈나래 남도 되게 주는 맞춰 봐 거기 보러 주는 섬도 맞춰 봐 양대 보러 섬도 텐투 어디니 셈 엠바다 루이 엠바니가 거래서 오지
seclusion, the objective of withdrawing into a retreat, this seclusion or withdrawal may be or is physical as well as mental. It is a retreat from, or rather an avoidance of, frenetic activity, as well as a place where mental agitation may be avoided. Now later in chapter 6, or that's the chapter on patience, chapter 5, in chapter 5, the properties or the qualities of a place that is properly called a retreat includes that, or is especially that the mind being the basis for both virtuous activities and non-virtuous activities, when the mind is made to be undistracted and withdrawn from distraction, then it is in retreat. It is in retreat and positioned in such a way that it avoids ordinary cyclic samsaric busyness and is poised to comprehend nirvana. And so this is the meaning of a retreat, a place where the mental afflictions are not actively disturbing a person. When we speak of retreat, we think of removing the body to a place conducive for contemplation of nirvana and avoidance of mental afflictions. This is physically what is done, but also too it is mental. It is mental in the sense that one may well hide their body and not be visible, but still in their mind be preoccupied with this life and this and this and this and that, and therefore unable to extricate themselves from samsaric concerns, unable to poise themselves to in retreat to discover nirvana.
먼저 단답이 지나는 가서 야셀라 내 소리나는 용해방과 니모 림지 팁스 니모 방배 니모 방자 용해방 유인바 방배 아니 니모 림지 팁 와서 남도 매배 개종 안기 펠 남도 기왕 매배 아니 개종 안기 펠 아니 가르치지 어떤 특수 지시 걸어 림바 담보 철랑의 시기에서 어디 림바 담보 철랑의 시기에서 난 유년바 수수부터 니모 계사기 니모다 두고 남도 그게 대주고 유기 수수고 유내서 내 엠바 야고잖아 아니 미기 니모 저와도 매마지 니모도 름디마 티루와 아니 쌤게 남도 야와 되게 매바이나 아니 더선 라기 제조 편상 고선 개와도 아니 왜 라운드 버리고와 안디 용도 좀 아니 같이 그래서 되게 되는데 랑도 보여기 아니 동번이 된다 아주 배 랑이 패용도 됐어 어디 라레스도 남는데 여러 제가 엠바다 디 아베네 엠바세드 셈다 루이니가 엠바 데고와 기제로 그 장요
In the 37 practices of the Bodhisattva, 3 verses say, abandoning or fleeing a bad place, then later the mental afflictions subside. Distancing oneself from mental proliferation, virtue only increases. Removing oneself from busyness, one may ascertain the Dharma. With an inadequate place where causes and conditions for mental afflictions to arise have been cut, one has distanced oneself from such causes, naturally the mental afflictions begin to subside. And having found a place where there's less discursive thought, a place causing less discursive thought, then as a natural matter of course, that which is to be contemplated, that which one has listened to, the virtue of learning may arise by its own power. And then at a suitable distance from distraction, the very essence, emptiness of the Dharma may be ascertained. So I've given you some context for this lonely. The word lonely here in this verse, all sweet and lonely forest groves, a place, a retreat, withdrawal. The trees of paradise adorned with blossom, trees and branches bowed with perfect fruit. Again, they're all sweet and lonely forest groves. That sweetness is an environment that brings only benefit to a person practicing there, where there's nothing that harms the person in their practice. When such a place is found, it's a sweet place.
매도 견제 비보다 매도 그게 닝지고 통나 셈나 가와제바 아니 지미가 제바 당이 셈을 비보다고 되게 제부여 봐서보다 조심해도 나는 간다다 그게 매도 두르다고 봤더니 직접 지나게 길어지 매도 차지 제부여 봐 되게 봐 되서보다 비보다서 제부여 봐 당서 조심해도 제부여 봐 어떻게 지야 집에서 어떻게 그래서
The trees of paradise adorned with blossom. These trees of paradise adorned with blossoms, flowering and fruiting. The flowers and the fruits like they were bedecked. They were bedecking these paradisical trees. And so a place that to the eye is very enchanting. Places we see we see such places in gardens, and sometimes in a grove there will be an opening where there's a meadow, a place of this sort, a very beautiful and pleasing place.
오야 다디네 신간 대상 얘가 뒤바당스 아니 신간식 아니 로다 티다 로 벤디고 푸순서 버신도 제부 푸순서 버 여바 오 된대기 신도 아니 얘가 뒤바스도 신도 제부 야고 여다 아니 얘가도 마살마 살 두고도 근데 요것도 오 된대 뒤바 오 된대 안 비주 정말로 아니 간다다 고 제부 야고 여바다 콜라 로다 아니 레제다 제 푸순서 버 여디 아니 되게 강하게 군조 제가 나가 강화지 군조 제가 군조 처벌 필요가 거래서
The trees of paradise adorned with blossoms, such enchanting sights. These are fit for offerings. Trees with branches bowed with perfect fruits. When fruit is ripe on the branch, then it weighs the branch down so much so that it nearly touches the ground. These fruits are ripe and fragrant and soft to the touch, and perfect for making offerings.
오야 다디네 하소 지대나야 지단에서 하소서 하들라다 하들라네 순주다 순 하게 내 되겠다 되베 아주 되베하다 되베하게 나네 아니 순주다 순 아니 단 하소서 하도 소나 아니 다 좋아신다도 여러 좋아신다 하들루다 아니 이따라 소고 오 대다게 아니 지대나 지대나야서 지대나 세대 아니 다 미기 때라 여백이 미기 때다 하순순이 때라 여백 아니 대다라 여백이 아니 다널 지심바다 지단에서 지대나 아니 다 브라운드로 여백이 아니 지다 가서 거기 딱 너를 쳐봐도 뒤 쳐봐 망고요 어떻게 비슷한 장면이야 다 티딜라 현재기 티다 아니 지금 티 바로 수업에 티들이 망고 여러와 현재기 처음에서 아주 그 현재기 티스들 아니 수업아 많이 봐 안신기 치마신 뭐 여봐 아니 대다 아니 지금 하나도 양치 밖에 제절치는 치마 소다는 수업에게 치마 먹고 주거체야다 치마 먹고 치마 먹고도 근데 여봐도 강가 피고 그래서
The perfume fragrance of divine and other realms. The divine and other realms, when we speak of the divine realms, the desire realm with its heaven of the 33, and there all the substances, the perfumes and fragrances found there, as well as in the human realm, and even to the other realms, the realm of other devas, of the preta, of the naga, all of these realms with their many fragrances and perfumes, some of which are natural fragrances, natural, they aren't concoctions, they aren't invented by chemists, but others are made and designed, so designer perfumes. These two, all of these, in all of these realms are fit for perfect offering.
오야 다른 지금마다 지도 또 파산신의 리지신스 다 뼈들랑 두고에 유명한 뼈다 규제 야가도 두고도 망고여 뼈지 아니 파산신세리 아니 맞다 누구 신서 파산신도 뭐는 잡나 아니 랑 삼든 두배 여바 근데 루주여레스 아니 리지신세리 다 말하도 미 감나다 신나다 신가라도 통한 신비마도 다 하다 루다 아니 둘때들 아니 무진 세기 신도다 누구 신세리 유망고 시에 여레서
All incense, wishing trees, and trees of gems. There are incenses compounded of many different ingredients. We speak of incense made of superior ingredients and inferior ingredients. So incense is compounded of the most valuable substances. And also in the wishing trees, there are stories of the wishing tree the tree, the wish granting tree, any wish you make to this given tree, it is able to provide it. And so too, trees of gems, there are stories told of, whereas we only see ordinary trees in the human realm here, in the realm of the Deva and of the Naga, there are said to be trees made of silver and other precious materials.
뭐야, 딱 마음에 봐요. 로또 넘버서 마음에 봤을 때 뭐가 수치적으로도 네, 맞아 그 거기 간다 스마다 봤다 먹고 뭐 제목고 봐. 아니 기부 저거 제목고 되게 중요한 로도도 저거 저거 배웠지로 거래서
All crops that grow without the tiller's care, there are these crops that require no harvest, no planting, no tilling, none of the farming, and grow naturally.
예, 다 시행 처벌이 되게는다. 시행 쓰는데마다 시행 아니 말아도 답변은 말아도 다 물린 딜레 차샤고 있나야 말아도 미기 거기다 처벌 유효바 아니지 칸에 장가게 뭐도 지 세미나로 전에 칸에 주면도 세미 미기 마통아 되게다 제 망고시 우여로 내가 아주 잘라를 통도 어 뒤에 분들 피나직서 뒤에 피나직서 상거기다 제 망고도와 제단 칸을 나네 라마도 셈게 되게 장가게 뭐도 되게 처벌 제 망고여 어디게 찾나 아니 표를 해서
And every sumptuous object worthy to be offered. In this experience of ours, we know of countless precious substances, so many that their numbers are unthinkable, so many that to enumerate them would be impossible. They're unspeakable in their variety and number, and we're familiar with them and see them, and so we might go about our way and find this worthy of offering and this too worthy of offering. And so all that we simply cannot speak and cannot imagine, or rather cannot speak, so innumerable as they are, all of these are worthy of offering.
아니 빼매에 전화에 빼마다 되게 계획이 아니 나도 다라도 되니까 캘리포니아에 망고도 초도 오지 아니 증주다 다야 망고도 된데 가가 초도 증부 빼마지 아니 전화는 여기 서자 nhiệm 깨nhiệm 받아 아니 지금 선생 미만 거다 뭐 받아 자시해야 되게 배제당들의 차들의 깨nhiệm 미만 보여 어디에 깨nhiệm 여배 초도 증부 어디다 탐지 And
on page 38, verse 5, lakes and meres adorned with lotuses, delightful with the sweet voiced cries of water birds. In California, there are many beautiful places with flowing streams and pools and lakes, and inlets and outlets, and it's very beautiful, and in the surrounding area there are the cries of many varieties of bird. All of these too are worthy of offering. And everything unclaimed and free, extending to the margins of the boundless sky. The purpose of making any offering is to make it so that the Triratna is pleased, so that it brings delight, so that it is delightful. So anything that we imagine would be delightful, that may be offered.
Oh yeah, that under kunju cheba korang tenda ke de karesna. 아니 고만예버 제바스 고만예버 제바스도 군주 예버 지금도 군주 예버 집에 아니 쳐바들라 아니 쳐바스 아니 군주 예버 지금에도 아니 쳐바 차기가 말했어 제가 군주 예버 집에 쳐바스게디 아니 다 가르쳐 버렸으나 다 쳐바 약초디 쳐바 피 다쇼디 고송 미미베 거네 아니 쳐바 피와 쳐바 피야기 쳐바 피유기 제 군주 대라싱이 모두 봐 쳐바 피어도 제대라시게 모두가 주버 피니기 수수야라시게 모두가 무슨 남바타를 거네 아니 군조로 주버 피고 있는 아니 주버 군조 예버 집에 제 약속의 집도 차도 레송을
An offering or worship itself takes its name from its meaning, which is that which delights the Trijatna, that which brings delight, that which pleases. If it doesn't please, then it isn't an offering, and whatever pleases is an offering. Now, best of all offerings, that which brings the most delight, is an offering in which the three spheres of the offering are recognized to be empty of intrinsic nature, and by the force of that offering, absent in it intrinsic nature, the intrinsic nature of the offering itself, intrinsic nature in that to which the offering is made, or intrinsic nature in the individual making the offering. When all three are found to be void of such intrinsic nature and an offering is made, then it is the most valuable, the most delightful form of offering.
이래서 다 처벌 해야 되다. 구조 예벌 제비 처벌 표시에서 다 간다 바람도 만족이 다다 수수 처벌 가능 안한도 면도도 아니 지금 처벌 다당 가지고 제시 개별 처벌 거리 표구 이유가 있나요? 아니 되게 구조 예벌 용어를 제발로 구조 예벌 제비 처벌 표구라 수수 반대게 나도 표야 제 수수 나거나 예조 제는 유지마도 말아 되게 군조를 표현이야 이 말을 안하고 이깔하고 이내 다시 군조가 녀버 주거리 배 다진 가는 삼바 낭시진 표투가 제발라 안하고 아니 띵이 된다 나다 차제비 아니 진실로 표투가 있나 아니 배다 군조 녀버 제비 제 차기를 해서
Now, as we imagine delighting the three gems, and we imagine the offerings that we may make. There may be an offering of flowers, whatever it is we make as an offering. When we aim to delight the recipient, we will begin likely with very, very little, for we have so little, and it'll be very small, but by the force of samadhi and mantra and mudra, that offering may be transformed into an offering that is delightful.
세상다 이 특히 와들 처벌의 간데스 표기인데 아니 나가 란참 감지타도 봐 용수 송원에 버대다 군 특이나 요레스 세상 안에서 처벌 표해야 배 유유 많이 봐 감지기 감보라야 강대버 이거 봐 대한 세바메버 유유 많이 봐 세지는 세제메두야 자주나시 배 자천부 띵사부 어딘데 여봐 로그 띵인지기 다 줄. 아니 군조로 표고래서 아니 표도 좀 자기한테 전 표가 되게 띵인지다 아니 나 자기한테 되게 손 진실하는 표네 아니 나도 다 소만 자천부 싸워 어디고 우열해서.
Now, as we imagine offering, when we're asked, which offering will you make? The offering, or what offering will you make? What will the offering be? The answer is everything unclaimed and free, extending to the margins of the boundless sky. Offerings that are vast as space, that are beyond exhaustion, inexhaustible, beyond measure, like an ocean, and made by the power of samadhi, coupled with mudra. Those together, samadhi, mantra, and mudra, make an offering that is vast as space itself, and the merit that it produces is equaled in its inestimability.
예, 단단 말하는 땡이지 단단 말하는 그걸 매 유진이는 이제 가가로 왔다 땡이지 그걸 매나 아니 말하는 셈이 뭐바친 셈을 돈 삼로 따는 도 제리에 둘랑 아니 군조도 삼배 나가 강화 유삼 뭐바친 표고라서 이 뭐바친 표조 되게 아니 제만 가르치거든 땡이지 그런 걸 깨니 표두의 유력이 아니 제일 유력이 규칙 다들 사기 어려서
Now there may be this force to an individual's offering when they have achieved samadhi. Until one has achieved samadhi, one will have to visualize the mental emanation of offerings of this kind, and only later will they achieve samadhi. But the visualization of an emanation of these offerings is because for the later achievement of samadhi.
이 땡이지 아니 차제의 개천부 여러 사제의 먼저 드린 차제의 주제시라면 자지 지식이 있어. 당한도 되게 용다하게 차제. 아니 취이죠. 지금도 되게 저거 표당 차제듯이 아니 뇌영아 표당이 차제죠. 네 아니 나랑 되게 저거 되듯이 뭐 망치에 표제 당고 열었어요. 네 먼저 차제를 도는 뒤듯이 까망아듯이 어디 차제들이 많은 시작이 있었지.
The samadhi may be coupled with the mudra, and I thought to take a moment to present to you the mudras too. We don't have very much time, so allow me just a minute to present the mudras that we use in daily offerings, as well as mudras conveying the 5 sense objects. Between these two sets of mudras, you have many of the mudras used often in ritual practice. So maybe just 5 minutes, for 5 minutes, I'll show those to you.
Yeah, 재밌다. 모두 차제들, 지도자 뭐 당보 차제 지도자 뭐 당보 모두 차제 제한 구술 하고 구술 수정하고 라바 차제 두세 라바 두시 차제는 태문이 나로 두 차제 제대 도지 구술 상상 도지 구술 당고체 니다 도지 구술 라바니 나로 주는 구술 도지 구술세 다 라바니 두시잖아 실로 맞잖아 아니 다보 구술세 두시 라바 태문이 두시 않잖아 그 신식의 구술 어디 숨 구술 숨는다 뭐 사람이 하고 계속 구술수 누가 네 지라도 강아지 네 뒤도 제대로 되는데
Now, first, show the mudra. I'll show to you the mudras that are fists that dry in and hold firm blessings. And the first is when the fist is put inside the fist like this. This is the Vajra fist like this. And when the Vajra, or rather the thumb is left outside, and this is the fist, this is a wrathful fist. And when the thumbs are raised above the fist, it is the Tathagata fist. These are the 3 fists.
다 그냥 다 저거 그들자마다 아니랑 나번이 태목이 인걸 가지고 태목을 인걸 된 두스파 주변 한번 주변 분위기에 주변 한번 비약을 대도 봐 주변 이거 치고 그래서 가지고
Next, when doing the mudras for offering, begin the thumbs will be at the chest, and then moving away from the chest, the gesture is the gesture of the emanation, or the emanation of offering goddesses. And then there's a snap as you go. And as you do that with this mudra, it is joined with the visualization of an emanation of offerings.
찍을 대시 찍을 아니 처바분이 좀 아니 아무도 처바분이 좀 경쟁 배수고 자기 남규된 시에 나는 나는 처바분으로 와 그다음 어디 땅 천대지 아니 가나 지 니버들라 아니 처바분이야 돼 아니 빼매기 아니 뭐다 그게 당기 막 그거 짱만 쉬우지 뭐 어디서 아니 처바도 빼 그게 라신 남다 처바분이야 근데 천대지라는 빼고딩이 벌치고 해서
And next is the lotus wheel, and the lotus wheel is explained to have two central meanings, or to be interpreted in two ways. The first is that the lotus is untouched, unsullied by the mud from which it grows, and in the same way, the offering is meant to be inherently pure and clean, and so there's this lotus wheel. And also, when offerings are made, there's a swing and a sway and a dance, a seductive sort of dance that happens, and that too is conveyed by the motion of the lotus wheel.
라고 영어를 practice and do 세야지. 배고 찍 라고 영어도 디파트먼트 디파트 그걸 스타는 두신 두신 배고 나는 보이나 배고 숨마 튕기면은 배고 찍찍으로 해서.
And as you go in this direction to your right, you'll lead with your pinky, and you fan your pinky out and you follow it this way. And then you begin the drawing in of your fanned out fingers. So you fan out first with your pinky, you follow it, and then you come back. And and if the mantra is long, then you may do this 3 times. And if it's a short mantra, you'll do it just once.
나는 당도 당고 배겨잖아. 다 도스파 집에 남을 아니 기체 아니 오모사와 다다가다. 오모가 배고 찍는 측면에다 오모사와 다다가다 알아감스들 알아감스 저버체 아니 저버체 그 표현체 알아감스 아니 빠데자이 소아스 주두 이거죠.
So now if I give one example of a lotus wheel, one round of the lotus wheel, coming out from the heart center, the emanated offering goddesses, and then the lotus wheel goes around Om Sarva Tathagata, and then you come around again, and then you do Argam Pratitsa Soha, and the Pratitsa Soha is the drawing in again at the end of the drawing in. It's the drawing in of the offering. The Argam is the offering given outwards, and then Pratitsam Soha is coming in, drawing in the offering again. So just like that. No.
아니 뒤베세 뒤베데도 아무 그러세 베드로 아니 알롱게면 알롱게 치메 알롱게세 아니 알롱게잖아 아니 겐데세 아니 뉴데시세 뉴데세 아니 샤다스 뭐야 저거 뒤디디표로 해서.
And then, so that was the first Argam, and that's followed by Padyam, which goes like this. Padyam. And then Pushpe, which is your flower, Pushpe. And then Dupe, which is your incense, right? Aloke, which is your lamp. Gende, which is your unguent, your salve, your lotion, and Nyewede, which is your special feast food, and then Shabda is musical offering.
당한 미지 군들을 당하는 직업이야. 그리고 어딜 뺐다는 소리가 그래서
And just as when guests come, we make offerings to them. That is the example. That is the basis for making these offerings to any guest.
아디네 대응아 그거이나 이 자기시 나도 그렇지고 제 아니 저거 거는 저기들이 여기 루바스 루바스를 그래 나는 자기가 수비 자기죠 아주 루바체 아니 샤다 되지 거를 뭐 샤다 이거라서 아니 수바도 개인데 수바체 뒤체 뒤좀 주바체 개인데 아니 라사디 세세 소로 제체 아니 파르샤스를 남사 파르샤 파르샤 그래서 파르샤 어디 또 영어도 해서 되게 많은 제 초같은 그저 다 집어보게 돼서
And then, so those are the ordinary offerings. Then the offerings that are the 5 sense pleasures, they begin with form, and this is the symbol of the mirror for offering form, and then sound or musical offerings. That's sounds. First is visual form, then sounds, and then Gendi, which is the lotion, the fragrant, the ocean, the lotion for scents, and then your feast food, the food that you offer, which is for flavor. That's rasa, and then sparsha, and that is raiment for texture. And so those 5 sense objects will be offered in almost every ritual, and so you'll find these.
내가 또 저거지도 너무 초보라 차제디 뼈골 맞으나 도세 도서라 뭐 알아감 아니 뭐 알아감 아니 바데세 바드라고 지금 막 하고 바데세 아니 뷰베세 아니 드베세 아니 알롱게세 겐데세 아니 니고데세 아니 샤다 자들이가 따지는 대응가 된다 아니 루바스 루바나고 볼 때면 어때 봐 루바세 아니 샤다세 아니 겐데세 아니 라사세 아니 파르샤 따뜻이 아니 저거 신발도 않지만 뜻이 신발나요 거 이 뒤용아도 초가당도 자진 주고 비야 많이 보고요.
Now in ritual practice, these will commonly be used, and if you don't incorporate the lotus wheel, then your offerings will go in this way, argam, and then padyam. One hand is the left hand's over like this, padyam, and then pushpe, dupe,
do a couple. Lamen,
dupe, aloke, aloke, yende, nyewede, shabda. And then that's followed by the 5 sense objects, the rupa, and then the shabda, and then the candy, and then the rasa, and then the sparsha. And in the ritual liturgy, these are ordinarily used, whether it's in the Tara ritual practice or the Ghana chakra ritual. These will be used. And so the others we'll go into next another time.
Now,
if you have a moment to practice those, that it's useful because samadhi and mantra and mudra have force And so one would study with that in the mind to use that.
아니 쳐봐도 땡기지 쳐봐 나도 쳐봐이나 군주님을 쳐봐 차를 해서
With samadhi and the mudra, conjoined with the mudra, the offerings will delight the recipients.
뭐냐면 내셔다 지금 양을 됐어. 저거는 진짜 다 쳐봐 제대로 민주 라면면 이제 세우 잡투고 넣어서 쳐봐 제대로 망고가서 민나가 요마로 아니 이제 세우 잡투에 넣어서
So now we'll conclude here for now, and then we can talk if we have questions. And with the abundance of substances that may be offered, names and words fail me, so I can't describe all of them adequately.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Thank you so much, Geshe-la.
Yeah.
On behalf of some Zoom participants, they raise question that they can not see your translation plus the mudra. And for me also, I would like to ask Geshe-la to go slowly for recording purpose. We will record it and ask Geshe-la go through the mudra one by one if it's possible. And during for each mudra, Shara, would you please lay each one has a name, or how should I call it? Can you go through it and you say it out loud, and all of us can take note, and if we miss something, we can go back to the video and watch it and study it, and that would help the Zoom participant also.
계속와. 자 이제들요. 아니 년통 아니 약치 저희 기치도 예시기 사르치 아니 갈래치네 아니 조가차는 나한테 갈래치네 백월 당자체 그래서 자기가 텐수디 자기가 텐수 갈래치네 직텐로치 단타 텐로치 갈래치네 되는 게 아니 민den서 랍긴 계시기 아니 아니 갈래치네 텐로치스로서. So if I do that now, there are also lots of questions. So if there are other questions, what will we do? You know, we missed out on some other questions.
I have a suggestion, because people want to go, they want more support in learning so on an aside, we could make like they do with sign language. There's they show the gesture, and then this is what it is. And
We can also
cheat sheet.
we can also make a little short video right after the class. Just you could do it, and then right now we can just have questions.
Thank you, Geshe-la. We talked about the retreats, and my question was about the mental agitation. Like you mentioned that people go into retreat for to avoid mental agitation. So this might be from the perspective of someone who's not an enlightened being, but someone who is a student and is going into retreat. Isn't mental, even though it's good to be without distractions, and as a retreat should be, isn't mental agitation inevitable while observing one's mind while in retreat?
네 연락이 된답듯이 견투 단 왼백이 된다. 네 인화 용몽은 인외 규된서네 왼사 연사 찍라고 그러. 아니 얘네 뜻서 아니 참라 데드 소소 심 라미그네라. simla migne gom gyabna ne ti nyomon dinzo ani tongre ra ani 제상 아니 공기압도 아니 심 얘기하되 심 가르치나요 심 얘기 연결 말어배
콤바테나 콤나 얘기 말해 나하고 얘기를 와 제가 당보 공도 안도 공제도 유런 모두를 개표 말해 공 당보제도 저기 오든직 오든이 오든의 오두가 아니 우디야고 가시나 샘데 요구만 하고 우디야만 두두 샘데 요구 그다 우디데 냄토나 아니 샘데 데두가 데데시는 까마치 이 순고만 이마치 이 콤사도 샘 수수 라고를 주어나 데두에 차기를 해서
for a mind that isn't well conditioned to meditation, the distractions are inevitable. For a mind that is accustomed to meditation, they are not inevitable. It's a process of growing accustomed or growing conditioned. And it may be exercised to begin with by simply controlling the breath. Inhale deeply once and then hold the breath tight and don't release it. And notice that with the breath held, the mind doesn't move. And with the release and the movement again of breath, the mind will move again. So just breathe in and hold the breath and notice the stillness of the mind. And then when resuming breathing, notice the movement again of the mind, and exercise this repeatedly, 1 breath, 2 breath, and then for 1 day and 2 days, and eventually the mind will become better conditioned.
쌤 로마테나 샤 모쌤 콘도사테나 교 공투구 말다 쌤들 로마테나 레고 쌤들 로말레 레야 바돌었던 제고였던데 가시요 로마테가야 뭐 차서나 쌤들 길레론 지만 뉴트럴 차로 다디네 아니 진행 교공 아니 쌤때 때문에 우는 안들 제도나 아니 다디 공제하고 다지만 도알마마 올리기로는 뒤빼만 고요래서 공제도 삼박한데 music lui dedans samlo ko kunum kedan zupra te sainani da jojo nana legure ani mage ta jinju na ma wolle reso
Begin that exercising, conditioning the mind with a neutral frame of mind, rather than one that's yet attempting to incline itself virtuously. So begin with a neutral, a neutral or baseline of equanimity and neutrality, and do this exercise with the breath. And then when the mind is conditioned to that, then you may incline the mind in the direction of virtuous inclination. And there will be instruction about such practices to come, in which you are harnessing the mind and the body, the posture of the body, and the movement and exercising of the body and the breath with the intention of the mind. And those are brought together and exercised together, and are described in the 6 preliminary rites and elsewhere in the way of the Bodhisattva.
Thank you so much for teaching some to that. I'm curious about when we're visualizing, what's the difference between Naividya and Rasa? How are they similar and how are they different?
Between Navidya,
Well, I don't know the Tibetan.
what's it?
Naividya is there. I don't know how is it said in that.
Which one is it?
It's the food offering.
Ale 그래서 네오데
Versus rasa.
네오데 and rasa.
Yeah, what's the difference in the visualization? Like, what are we,
I
because
see.
I see them as similar things, and I'm wondering how they might be different.
그 네오데당 아니 rasa. 지금은
너로 가서 누구들라는 시세를 하고 다 라살라는 그런 거도 풍부하는 아주 다르디요 풍부하는 다 제대로 레제들과 레제만 롯 제가 거의
로디 렉샤.
레제들
라라라.
로디마 제가 찌기 간들 유혹이 개발되지만 자주 지발해서
Then the möge gari ani similar ani karisa zugnian yamen gari möge ra the rasa dan new de la ani möge chedu ani
누구들이 먼저 되고 시세 칼라
라라
거기 지구들이 로용도 그 책을 도와용 로용도 상당히
라
나 그게 개화만
라.
이내 데스 상당합니다 다 때돼요.
Now those so they are similar but not identical. The Nyeode is when you're visualizing food itself, and the rasa is flavor. So as things they're just slightly different. The one is the food with delectable flavor, and the flavor is what is experienced by this sense organ that tastes the food.
Ask a follow-up on that. So are all of the first set the thing that is being offered, and all of the second set the experience of it?
아니 니르 쳐봐 요와
아니죠.
니르 덴조 아니 부에 제랑 아니 르베 아니 디 아니 카리사 도요마디 아니 냥자 야메네 냥체 냥자
이 말을 유일한 처벌하는 순간
정말
치료를 처벌하는데 치료를 처벌하는데
라라
양자녀제들마다 치료를 먼저 치 제랑 피를 처벌해라. 제랑 피를
도요마야 그래서 양 부여라
먼저 다 미지 군들 단계이나 아니 먼저 저리 쳐봐야 돼. 근데 오마이 땅 먼저 나가라. 아니 개보도 다 그들로 셀라당도 좀 아니 처벌 디기다죠. 딜라 뺄래는 처벌 되겠어요. 그래서
They're all of them. All of those are actual offerings. They're actual offerings, and it's supposed to be imagined just as we arrange a feast for a guest. We arrange all sorts of different dishes and things, just as was done in India as custom when guests visited. So all of these are offering substances.
먹이겠어 뭐 어디에서 뭐다 인가하지 않으시나.
My question is really quick. When Geshe-la mentioned about or when Geshe-la showed us the mudra of the fist, so when the thumb is inside, then that's the Vajra fist. And please, would Geshe-la explain to us the meaning of it, and also the meaning when the thumb is outside and when the thumb is upright. What are the meanings of all of those three mudras, and also when do we do those mudras?
그래서 숨이와 다 드네 직 천전 가르레 디 나로로 축제 아니 칠로 축제 야르팅
도지 구조수도 모두 다 초가 제야 열와 초가 제야 일단 먼저 초가 가시 아니 개비 초가 가시 시외 초가 가시 자고 초가 열와 뒤도 뭐 구수도 때 됩니다. 다들 구수 디 시외 초가 이 자고 초가 이 디들의 근데 천도지는 도지 숨서 구조숨도 담고 제거하디 그 초가 돼 개비 초가 돼 자고 초가 돼 왕 초가 돼 이들이 열와 어떤 데 천도 때서 열어서
the various fists are used in practices that are related to the four activities. And you have pacifying and magnetizing and wrathful ritual practices, and they use the fists in those practices. And the kursu mandra sum choga challenge any chetse. Nani kadu chigre Any rock pity.
저거 찾아맞고 그것도 고수치 고등어도 배는 단단하고 그는 지금 줄매 저 같다고 하니나 아니 고주들이 나오는 거 좀. 지외적으로 와. 제 아니 배고도 세 아니 어머서다 알아 어머서와다다다 아야들 사바를 아야들 나오라. 아야들 어디는 저 같은 데서 무슨 저거 강합니다 와서.
They'll come just before the lotus wheel and the offering of offering substances. So, for instance, in the Tara practice, which is a pacifying ritual practice, you begin with the Vajra fist and then do the lotus wheel and then go into the offerings, including the Aryatara Sapariva.
So with the fifth mudra, we need to do all three steps with thumb inside, with thumb outside, and with thumb upward, or just the thumb inside.
저것 때는 조맥이 저것 때는 어디 도저 단계에는 도시가 저거 강한 당고 찍으면 정말 고수 저거 엄마 주고 고주되는 저거 들어와 제맛을 강가를 치고 말아 강가를 치고 말아 당고 저거 맞아고 사제 맞아고 고주도 어디 고주 치고 해서
you'll only use one of those given fists for a particular practice. In this, for instance, in the Tara ritual practice, you'll just use the Vajra fist, just that fist. It's the only one used in that ritual. And you put your thumb in and make the Vajra fist, and then you go into your lotus wheel and make the offerings. It comes before the lotus wheel offerings, and you'll use a different fist depending upon the ritual.
So with the thumb outside, what do you call that? Also Vajra fist?
This is the wrathful fist.
Wrathful fist. And how about the right arm?
This is the Tathagata. Tathagata. Any other?
야, 담아가 아마 이름이 있어.
So thank you, Yeshua.
Yeah.
I just wanted to share, I watched His Holiness on television a couple days ago. And His Holiness said, we should take this book that we're studying and put it on our nightstand next to our bed. And he said, if you have more books on your nightstand, make sure this one is sticking out so you can quickly grab it.
다행한 겨울음부터기 순주 잘람터네 자기터네 아니 주드 겨울음부터기 덴스 송송 대안에 준주디 수수기 냐티 칠라 샤브레 아니 디 냐티 디 칠라 촉세치 연나 디간라니 대마고 아니 연나 디 아니 준주디 아니 렌초초서 그래서
다디 상담이 주주니 해주셔서 주주 틀에 냐 고야 되는 주제를 하고 그래서 주제를 하고 주주 틀에 냐스디 그 대주 샤샤나 개평이 많아. 딱그 대주 남는 망고 내 따스 그래서 이거 전들 해서.
No. And so you have to know why you ought to have it by your bedside, and why you need to position it so that it's accessible, and that's so that you do indeed open it and peruse it often.
한다처럼 그 대표의 냐는 아니라 전주기 쌤이 수수기 이말을 냐내 가르치는 전주기 쌤을 해주테 아니 수수기 당부 전주기 쌤 러비 삼 러고 삼 굴롱빵 아니 전주기 내가 가르치는 전주기 쌤 스모이 삼 아니 제일 내가 세상에 당에 전주기 쌤이 보는 심을 내가 치삼 대리시 삼을 땅 투어이나
So then, when each and every day, you bring the mind Bodhichitta and say to yourself, today I will practice the mind of enlightenment, and this is your intention. And then whatever you've done during that day, when you reflect on it in the evening, you can say, this today was the practice of Bodhichitta. I did all of these actions in the spirit of Bodhichitta. That's what His Holiness the Dalai Lama means by having the Bodhicharya Avatara accessible at your bedside.
다지단 그 감을 내 정보를 송해서 나랑서 아니 왕슈유나 장주선 이마지를 전투 수수고 체행 보고 이어받아 장주선 같은 라 보고 이어받아 아니 걔네 열에서
Now, the general advice is for the beginner, but the commitment for one who has been initiated into the secret Mantrayana practices, the commitment is to bring to mind bodhicitta 6 times each day and to train 6 times each day, bringing to mind bodhicitta as part of the sixfold practice.
먼저 신의 공도 신의 공내로와 신의 원에 불타고 게 유명 따도 이샤 조직으로 이샤 조직을 주도가서 저희 저기 어디 두물 곳이 있냐면 뒤쪽들 곳이 있냐면 된대지 뒤들 풀 곳이 뒤들지 그러나 샘마이 와전 배하고 때문에 깔래 내가 근데 대투구도나 아고 신의 야고토 체 지금 열었어 제가 어디 체를 지게면 아니 정유선 표를 잘 부템바디 아니 나왕 초가 친구 쉬게 걔네 열에서
The measure of accomplishing shamatha, mental concentration, serenity, is when you divide the 24-hour day into 6 formal sessions. Each of those sessions, the responsibility that one has, having entered the secret Mantrayana, is to dwell upon bodhicitta during each of those 6 sessions. And when one is able to abide serenely for a full formal practice period, that is the measure of having achieved serenity, shamatha. And when that serenity then is the moment during which bodhicitta is practiced, then that is the actual commitment and our responsibility having entered the secret Mantrayana.
아니 그것을 말하는 데서 뭐디 나오니 직파리 표현 봐. 아니 뒤에 주 삼라다나 랑 아니 그냥 내 다르친 바 영화다. 류대와 샘 기바 영화도 되게 또 너무야 되고 있어.
And now we conclude our class. Time is up now, and let's dedicate the virtuous practice through our closing prayers, and imagine the world and the pandemic being finally pacified, so that there are no pandemics and no diseases, and that in this country all experience supportive conditions, and that each one of us perfects our practice and experiences in body and mind contentment and ease. Page 12. Ninja Shinbu Yipa Jiwa Yi Benje Tetin Sewa Chepa Seje Yahweh Menjun Chile Lejo Chanju Lamji Rile Tadu Naje Yila Bebe Shin Yahweh Zeba Rindu Jungyu Mansan Rube Dunje Ruje Ye Seje Medan Mele Sera Kudu Yahweh Mabayi Namda Lama Dewa Mangyuji Kanze Teba Chula Jujuji Tsujin Dula Tsimba Deyi Tuden Nage Tadu Rujiji Raji Jazu Chugu Jayuji. From my two collections, vast as space that I have amassed, from working with effort at this practice for a great length of time, may I become the chief leading Buddha for all those whose minds, wisdom, eyes blinded by ignorance. Even if I do not reach this state, may I be held in your loving compassion for all my lives and issues. May I find the best of the paths of complete teachings, and may I please all the Buddhas by practicing. Using skillful means drawn by the strong force of compassion, may I clear the darkness from the minds of all beings with the points of the path as I have discerned them. May I uphold Buddha's teachings for a very long time. With my heart going out with great compassion, in whatever direction the most precious teachings have not yet spread or once spread have declined, may I offer this treasure of happiness to aid all sentient beings. May the minds of those who wish for liberation be granted bounteous peace, and the Buddha's deeds be nourished for a long time, by following the complete graduated path of enlightenment and the wondrous virtuous conduct of the Buddhas and their sons. May all human and non-human beings that eliminate adversity and make things conducive for practicing the excellent paths never be parted in any of their lives, when the purest path is praised by the Buddha. Whenever someone makes effort to act in accordance with the tenfold Mahayana virtuous practices, may he always be assisted by the mighty ones, and may oceans of prosperity spread everywhere.
Nagi Jini Sabe Yewa Di Tena Doa Kuna Kame Chebara Jesu Losan Taba Yi Tebe Nyingbo Rinjo Seje Ari Lawe Bove Shingande Pendan Dewa Malu Jume Jere Zewa Tese Jaso Yi Shabe Side Badu Dengyuji Yabe Bawo Jidara Kemba Na Kundu Sambo Deyan Dejen Yela Kunje Jesu Dalo Je Yewa Deda Kamje Ratu Yesu Jebe Yewa Kamje Je Mowa Kama Chodu Mama Dagi Jebe Zawa Likunja Sambo Juje Ratu Mowa Je Janjo Senjo Rinpoche Maje Wana Jewa Nyamba Merwa Ya Kone Kondu Prewa Sho.
I dedicate whatever virtues I have ever collected for the benefit of the teachings and of sentient beings, and in particular for the essential teachings of Venerable Buddha who shine forever. In a land encircled by snowy mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All powerful journeys to the kingdom of heaven, please remain until cyclic existence is ended. Just as the brave Mantrashiyans of Mantrabhadra realize things as they are, also I dedicate all these merits in the best way, that I may follow their perfect examples. I dedicate all these roots of virtue with the dedication raised as the best by the victorious Iskan one 3 times, so that I might perform the noble Bodhisattva deeds. May the supreme jewel Bodhichit, that is not rising or rising, and may that which stands but increase more and more.
September, many
Or on
뭐
Sunday,
어떻게
or in the afternoon, yeah.
야, 우리 치고 차도
It's late now.
안 돼도 정신.
If you train or practice a little, you'll get it.
어이, 세다.
Thank you.
야,
Good night.
이체. Next is
Japan will
선장만 보고 이체.